Good evening. I call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Board President to advise members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Only those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during new business. The chairperson will limit discussions of any item by the public to 2 to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Dorgan. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. This evening, we have a meaningful and informative evening ahead of us. First, we'll take some time to recognize some outstanding individuals whose achievements and contributions continue to reflect the values and pride of our district and their excellence. It's always a privilege to shine a spotlight on the hard work and dedication of our students and our staff. Following the recognitions, we will move into our third budget presentation. For our first recognition this evening, I have Mrs. Jones and Dr. Smith from RCK and JFK schools.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us take the time tonight to recognize 2 of our wonderful science fair participants. The science fair has been a long-standing tradition in East Islip. All of our elementary school teachers do an outstanding job teaching children science, and especially our 4th grade teachers who take the time to make certain that all of our students understand the scientific method and, as of late, the engineer design process. So tonight we are here to recognize the first place winners in both of our schools this year. For RCK, I would like to call up and recognize Miles Savage for Do More Police, Code More. I'll let Miles share a little bit about his project in a moment.
And good evening, everyone. I want to thank our staff and our students for doing an amazing job at the science fair, but also participating in our STEAM tank and being incredible designers. So you're going to get a chance to see the groups that won in both schools. We are super proud of their innovations, creativity. It really makes everyone shine. So at this time, I'd like to call up our science fair winner from JFK, Kira Galia. Congratulations, Kira.
Take a minute to just share a little bit about his project, which was sent to Brookhaven to be part of their competition.
So I chose Do More Police, Pull More because sometimes we go on the beach with our camper, and one time one of our friends got stuck in the sand and we struggled pulling him out, and my dad wanted to know if there was a better way to pull them out than a better way to dragging. So that's why I chose this project, and it was actually kind of fun to do because I realized that electronics can pull over 90 pounds if you pull 3 pulleys.
To introduce Kira, who had an incredible project that she's going to speak about, but she was talking about humans versus artificial intelligence. So I'll let her elaborate on that.
Hi, my name is Kira Galia, and I would like to tell you a little bit about my science fair project. I wanted to discover if people could tell the difference between pictures taken by a person and pictures created by artificial intelligence, and test questions that were written by a person and test questions that were created by AI for the book Because of Wind. I use Magic School AI, pictures, and test questions and I made a quiz using Google Forms. 123 people took my quiz. 75.6% of people were able to tell the difference between pictures taken by a person and pictures made by AI. However, only 56.4% of people were able to tell the difference between the written test questions. That means many people were fooled by it. Fun fact, I used a picture of my real dog Gracie in the experiment. Thank you for listening.
Job, if you want. You're going to come and get a picture.
For our next recognition, I'm going to ask Mrs. Major and Mrs. Wilson to come up to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. We're Miss Masher and Miss Wilson, the elementary STEAM teachers from RCK and JFK. So on March 27th and 28th of this year, our elementary schools hosted their annual STEAM tank competition, an idea that came to my head, believe it or not, at 2 o'clock in the morning, one morning. Fifth grade students had the opportunity to work in teams while following the engineer design process to create new inventions to meet the solution to an everyday problem. After months of preparation and working with their teammates, they were able to develop a creative pitch to persuade our judges that their product was the best. Students were graded according to color-coded images and a rubric focusing on innovation, research, the impact on the world around them, work ethic, and the celebration of learning and achievement.
So the project took a lot of effort, and we wanted to thank our school community for volunteering their time to be our sharks. A special thank you to Dr. Bells, Dr. Aurora, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Pepe, Mr. Kamak, who's in our audience too, and our Board of Education member, Mr. Ruland. They generously gave of their time and provided such positive feedback to the students while actively participating and encouraging them. Also, a special thank you to Dr. Smith and Mrs. Jones for encouraging us to run with the idea and their continued support in all that is accomplished in our STEAM rooms. We appreciate that. For many of our students, this was one of the first times they had the opportunity to present to a group of people and to work collaboratively with others to solve problems. We are proud of all of the students who dedicated their time and effort into designing the product. They utilized their personal time to engage in a very meaningful process. It was exciting for us to witness the changes they made to improve their prototypes, the problem-solving aspects of the challenge, and the critical thinking skills applied during their product development. It is our hope that our students continue to think outside the box in all avenues of their educational pursuits in their years to come. So at this time, Mrs. Wilson and I would like to invite our students to come up and show them the pitch that they gave, their skit that they performed for the Sharks, for the judges. So I'd like to start by calling up the JFK participants. So I have McCallie, and they are going to present to you the book buddy. The book bag.
you ever heard of the book pack? No, what's that? What are you guys talking about? The book pack. Magali, do you want to help me explain the book pack to Aria? Sure, why not? The book pack is a fun, large-size type of purse. You can fit books inside of it. Oh, I understand. I have a bag, just it doesn't fit any books. That's exactly why we made it. The front pocket holds your phone, and the smaller pocket holds your post-it notes or other reading or school essentials. And you put books in the big compartment? You got it! That's so cool. It's made out of fabric, string, adhesive decor, and elastic. And it's portable, fashionable, and useful. Okay, so if I heard you right, you created a purse big enough for books, post-its, pencils, and more that isn't the size of a backpack? Yeah, and that's the book pack.
Okay, and then I'd like to please bring up the RCK team, Ariana Byram, Aubrey Fox, and Avery Jansen.
No, we can shout. Hi, everybody. I'm Ariana.
Hi, I'm Aubrey.
And hi, I'm Avery.
And we are the Triple A's. And we want to introduce to you Interactive Eats.
Moms, dads, and babysitters, does your child make it a mess when it's time to eat and leave your house ending up like a train wreck? Well, we have the right product for you. Let me show you what this can look like.
I want my food.
It's coming.
No thanks.
Okay. Here, I have to go grab your Why are you making such a mess?
Because I don't like this tray.
Okay, here's your fidget. Bye, good luck with her.
Yeah. It's okay. Do you want a new tray?
Oh, yeah. Other way.
Well, this tray looks really cool. I wish my mom and dad had this tray for me. And look, I can play while I eat.
Wow, she's not making a mess. What is this new?
Interactive Eats tray.
Is the dishwasher safe?
Of course.
Add it to my cart.
Oh, and this is our Interactive Eats tray. You can purchase
Jody, bring the clothes up.
Sit in your chair for the picture.
Oh,
By the way, they did test their prototype on a real live baby. And the baby is actually on that picture there. And he was much happier, right?
How do you want to set up?
So, let me just see.
Oh, yeah.
grab like a toy. You grab this one, you grab the other.
Nice job, ladies. This time I'd like to ask Mr. Montalbano and Mrs. Bieber These nice administrators come on for the next presentation.
All right, while they bring up the presentation, I'll just introduce myself again. My name is Anthony Montemorano, the principal of the middle school. I'm here with Mr. Spiegler, our assistant principal, and Ms. Jalen James. She is the editor of our school newspaper. We're here tonight because we are excited to show a little piece of East Islip history that I was fortunate as a new administrator to stumble upon. What we have here is a time capsule that Mr. Spiegler will kind of get into a little bit of the timeline of events. But we have a time capsule that has encapsulated the district's history going back to when the middle school was founded, when it was actually the high school. So it's an exciting time for us to kind of uncover the past. The time capsule is filled with memories, with photos, and treasures from all the people who walked the halls before us. So we're excited that as new administrators getting to kind of tap into having physical artifacts dating back for so long in history. It's been an exciting way for us to really kind of get to know where we've been and really kind of where we've seen the district going and where we would like to kind of have our current students leave their mark for the generations ahead of us. So, Mrs. Speaker.
Can you hear me okay? All right. So when we opened up the box, we kind of went through all the artifacts, and the first thing we found was most of it came from 1961. So most of the things you see on that table there are from 1961. You'll find that there's menus, there's schedules, there's other informational brochures and things from concerts. And that's when we think that they originally buried that metal box that you see there. And then it seems as if it was dug up in 86, so 25 years later. It was dug up and added to, so there's some artifacts from 86 as well. There's some yearbooks and different photos and all that fun stuff there. And then it kind of went ghost, and nobody heard about it again until Mr. Montero found it in the safe this summer. So from 86 to 2024, 40 years, it was somewhere. We believe that it might have been buried and then rediscovered when they did the addition to the building 20 years ago, and then put in that safe, and it hadn't been opened since. So one of our maintenance guys cracked open the box, we took everything out, framed it, made it look nice, and our plan going forward is to now do this for the class of 2025, since it's such a monumental year in graduating middle school. So our current 8th grade seniors are now stepping into the process of adding their own touch to it. So Jaylen's going to share a little more about that process.
Yeah, we're really excited to get to put in a lot of our things that we do, like our everyday lives, like what do we use in our everyday lives, like our music, our books and stuff like that. We can put it into the time capsule for our year, and we're really excited to like just put in all this stuff, because like if you imagine, like 40 years ago, they were eating lamb chops as their lunches over there, like pork stew and all that. I've never seen a single lamb chop in our lunches here. Pretty different, yeah. You take a look, and it's just really mind-blowing to see like all this like different kinds of things in our time capsule from like almost 1961. Can you imagine that? Like that's like 60 years ago. Yeah, that's really old. Yeah. We're really excited to just put in our own like little thing on the bottom and just give it to like the next 60 years, maybe they'll find it too. You never know.
So the newspaper club, the student government, they've been collecting menus, brochures, flyers, things that we've been doing this year that are pertinent to the graduating class of 2025. And then this is kind of just part of our beautification. We're going around the building and just updating some of the spaces that need a little touch. So we'll have the older display next to the newer display. So if you're ever in the middle school, that'll be up in one of the main hallways. And then we plan on doing a reburying ceremony once we have everything wrapped up and all the new artifacts collected and organized. We'll do some sort of big grand ceremony for the reburying. And hopefully it's not touched again until 2050. We're going to leave this out after the meeting. Feel free to check it out.
You gotta check out that menu. That's really interesting right there.
Good job. you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Montemorano, Ms. Taylor. For our next presentation, we're going to ask our Director of Humanities, Mrs. Cross, to come to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Those are really hard acts to follow, but I will tell you that we really do have something very special in store for everyone this evening. So mock trial is an academic competition that challenges students to step into roles that are reserved for attorneys and witnesses to argue both sides of real-world cases. It develops critical thinking, public speaking, and collaboration skills, offering unique opportunities to engage with the legal system in a very hands-on way. We're proud to share that our mock trial team has earned a spot in the New York State Championship in Albany. This will be taking place May 18th to 20th, and this happens after months of preparation and success at the regional level, and they now will compete against the top teams from across the state. Their hard work, their dedication, and very, very extensive professionalism. If you've seen our students in action, you would be blown away. They really are such gems of the district. It really is a testament to the strength of our academic programs and the support that they receive from our school community. A special thank you goes out to Mrs. Lester, who's our mock trial coach, whose guidance, expertise, and unwavering commitment have been instrumental to the team's success. Her mentorship continues to inspire our students to challenge themselves and represent our school district with confidence and pride. Please join us in welcoming Mrs. Lester and her team.
Take this out of here. All right, so thank you very much for having us tonight. We really appreciate the opportunity to be recognized by the board and by Superintendent Manzo. Mrs. Scarles is absolutely correct. We could not do this without the continued support of the district and all of the staff who stand behind us and help out the kids every day. I have to say, after watching the presentations from the kids in the elementary school, it's totally clear where I get my public speakers from, and I look forward to seeing the A team maybe doing mock trial in a few years. And I can tell you that we would love to put in 13 orders for the book pack, because that's exactly what we need. Okay, so this team, I've been doing this for 25 years. Along with my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Mitchell, attorney in the community who is selflessly dedicated his Saturdays to us for 25 years, giving me, as I always say, a free legal education. And these students have worked tirelessly. Several of them did summer programs. Then we went all the way to Chicago this year and competed against teams from all over the country, as well as from other countries. There were teams from Ireland, Britain, China there. And that experience, they did a really great job. They came in 16th in our division, but it lit a fire under them. And in the bus on the way back to the airport, they said, Mrs. Lester, be harder on us. Be harder on us. And I said, okay, I can do that. And I was harder on them, and they rose to every challenge, and here we are as Suffolk County champions. So, something about the New York State mock trial program, there are over 600 teams in New York State. They are divided into 8 regions because we are have such a high population down here on the island. Suffolk County is its own region, so we are one of 8 teams that will be going to Albany. So it's a really incredible testament to these students and to their dedication that we got to this point. and we're just so grateful for all the support we've received. So thank you so much.
Patsy is far too modest. I've been able to come by on Saturdays when I can for the last 25 years. She has dedicated time, days and days and days, during the week, during the evening, on the weekends, preparing these adults, I was about to say kids, but you watch them in the courtroom, and it's a cliche, I hear it again and again, everybody says they do as good, if not better, than the attorneys that we see in the courtroom. They performed their last competition. The county was in front of a judge in the surrogate court out in Riverhead. They appear in the court. They do opening statements. They do witness examinations and cross-examinations, and then closing statements. And they're all scored, so it's an absolute team event, and they're all fantastic. That being said, it's their coach who's really the most fantastic. She deserves all the credit. I will just want to mention that I happen to be an artifact from 1961. I'm not sure if I should be on that table over there. The one thing I do want to say is that my children all grew up here in the district. They're grown now. And this is for you folks up there on the board. I'm sure you hear all the time questions from the community. Are my tax dollars being well spent? If you ask that question, point to this program, and that will answer the question for you. Yes, your tax dollars are being well spent.
I guess that's it. I did have pictures, but I didn't send them to the right address or something. So, but you can follow our Instagram at EI Mockers. They're all there. So thank you very much, everyone.
Hey guys.
Can everybody see? Yeah. Everybody look at the one camera. One camera where everyone is looking at it.
Where?
The main camera.
The main camera. The white one? Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the next portion of our meeting will include a presentation, a budget presentation by Mr. Steve Harrison. So if you are welcome to stay if you'd like to. If not, take the next 2 to 3 minutes to exit. Promise we can move on with the meeting. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
right, we'll now turn it over to Mr. Harrison.
Good, thank you very much, and welcome to the third budget presentation. The presentation has been building upon itself since the first presentation, so I will go over some items quicker than others. I'll try to focus on some of the newer items. So there's been no further information provided to the district about the state aid from New York State. The only information we have is the governor's proposal. Again, we're a district that receives the minimum increases in foundation aid. As you can see by this chart, that increase is 2%. And just to reiterate, we are a hold harmless district, which means we will not receive any less state aid in the upcoming year that we're getting in the current year, unless it's not included in the governor's budget. And this year, for 25-26, the hold harmless provision is included in the budget. Building aid is highlighted because the governor's budget was based upon information in November. We do have further information indicating that we're going to get close to the $4.6 million in building aid. So overall, the increase in the general fund portion of the budget is 1.99%. That's including the universal pre-K, which is staying at the funding amount of $963,900, which funds 178 full-time slots. Okay, the next couple of charts are comparing the district to the New York State average. On the left-hand side is the per pupil property wealth, which is based upon assessed valuation of homes. And as you can see by the green line, which is the district information, we're pretty much on par with New York State averages. And the same thing holds true when you look at per pupil income wealth. So in both cases, we're pretty much an average district as compared to the rest of New York State. These two factors I've just highlighted combine to form what's called a combined wealth ratio. And as you would expect, we're again very much on par with New York State. So we're not really a district that's considered to be in poverty or in need based upon this information. Where we would get hurt is in the case of enrollment, which have decreased in all three categories, going back to 2007-08, where numbers were between 5,000 and 6,000 students, where we're down now to 3.5 to 5,000 students. So if hold harmless wasn't in place, this factor here would hurt us tremendously with a loss in state aid. So based upon that hold harmless provision, we're on pace to get roughly $29 million in state aid in the foundation aid category. If hold harmless was not available, our state aid would be as little as $22 million, as evidenced by the white line. So in the future, if the foundation aid formula is scrapped or adjusted, we do run the risk of getting less state aid, probably in the tune of $7 to $8 million. So the next two slides may be difficult to see, but there are copies of the presentation on the table. Why I included these slides is to show you that even though the governor has taken some suggestions from the Rockefeller Institute study that was done, it's really not going to positively affect the district. We're still going to get about the same state aid per student that we're getting currently. And that's reflected on the next screen, where you see that the selected foundation aid per pupil on the right-hand side of the chart is $5,470 as compared to $5,407. So even though there were some recommendations taken by the governor, it really only impacts us by $62 per student. So the tax levy that's calculated for 25-26 can go up as high as 2.93% without requiring a 60% majority. Through discussions with the administration and the Board of Education's input, and the levy that's supporting the budget that we're presenting tonight is with a 1.75% increase in the levy. About $900,000 less than it could have been levied at the 2.93%. So I should have mentioned a little bit earlier on in the presentation, on the agenda tonight is the adoption of the budget by the Board of Ed, which is required by today's date, which is currently supported by 1.75% tax levy increase. So charts are similar to they were in the past. You can see from this bar graph that there's a history of being below the allowable tax levy increase. As previously stated, that increase could have been as high as 2.93% for next year, and the levy supporting the budget is 1.75%. But if you look over the past several years, we've been at or below the tax levy in a significant fashion. So the dollar impact of being below the property tax allowable levy increase in 25-26, as I said, is roughly $900,000. And the gap between the two lines, the top line being the allowable levy versus the line below, which is the levy that the district has levied, those gaps are the lost in funds that the district did not take advantage of. Over time, this has a cumulative impact. And if you look at the far right-hand side, the proposed levy is $77.1 million. Levy could have been as high as 89.1 if we went to the cap in every year. But as you see, we haven't done that, but in doing that, there's a cumulative impact to what the levy could have been. So with a 1.75% increase in the average homeowner in East Islip on an annual basis, we expect to see a $140 increase in their school tax portion of the bill. I want you to remember this for later on in the presentation when I start talking about the two voter petitions that have been submitted for transportation. So this is the levy that's supporting the budget, 1.75%, $140. On the revenue side, nothing has changed on this graph, but it does nicely lay out that 60% of the budget does come from the property tax levy, followed up by state aid at 32%. And of note is that the district is appropriating $6.4 million from reserves to help plug the gap between revenue and expense budget. There are some initiatives and accomplishments that span several pages. I urge you to either take a presentation and look at them individually, or this will be posted online for you to look at as well. They're very significant accomplishments. So flipping to screen 22, we see here that the salary and benefits portion of the budget is relatively flat, going up at 0.95%, or $893,000. The employee benefits were helped due to lower premiums anticipated on medical and some decreases in TRS pension contributions year over year. So that's contributing to the decrease in employee benefits. The salaries themselves going up at 2.54%. We're benefiting from the retirement of part of our staff. We're roughly 13 retirees, teacher-wise, and some changes in the other staffs that the increases right now is at 2.54% on the salary line. Overall, the budget's going up 2.35% or $2.9 million. 25-26 as compared to 24-25. So just to give some comparison, and if you pulled any district's budget presentation, it would pretty much look the same, where 74% of our expenditures are related to salary and benefits. And then the remaining parts of the budget total up the other 26%. And you can see the categories there, all relatively small. So, as part of the presentation tonight is the contingent budget. The contingent budget can be adopted after either one or two failed votes by the community. Contingent expenses are those that are deemed absolutely necessary to operate and maintain the educational program and preserve property, ensure the health and safety of the students and staff. So some things that get removed from a contingent budget are non-contingent items, which include student supplies and equipment, And two other big categories that have to be considered is the tax levy in the year of the contingent budget cannot be any greater than the year of the last approved budget. So you'll see on the next slide that gives a big impact. And finally, the administrative component of the contingent budget cannot exceed the last approved budget. So while our budget that's being proposed is going up 2.35%, if that's not passed and we move it to contingency, the budget can only go up by $317,000 or 0.25%. And that's because the budget has to be reduced for those supplies and equipment items, and also lowered by the amount of the tax levy increase. So in the middle of the chart here, you see that the levy would have to go down 1 point, whatever that difference is, I'm sorry, I can't really see. So about $1.3 million would have to be decreased from the expense budget to accommodate the decrease in the tax levy. So we do have a second proposition on the ballot, which is for a capital reserve expenditure. The district established this particular reserve in 23-24 with board approval on May 21st. We can fund this reserve up to $3 million a year over 10 years and not to exceed $30 million. In the first year, we were able to fund $3 million into this reserve, but before we spend this money, we have to seek board approval to be able to spend it. So the reserve scope included major system upgrades, as you can see, from mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and various interior and exterior building renovations, as well as site work. The project being considered is the replacement of the switch gears at this building as well as Timber Point Elementary School. So here's an opportunity for us to use reserves, not incurring borrowing expense or further increase in the tax levy by having this money available in reserve. So new to the presentation this time is the district received two transportation petitions from qualified voters. The first one was to change the mileage limitation. Currently in K-3, if you live a half mile or more, 4 to 6 a mile, and 7 to 12, 1.5 miles or more, you're eligible for bus transportation. The petition, which had the required number of signatures, asked that the 4th and 5th graders be included in the half mile, and that the 7th and 8th graders be included at the mile limitations. No change for 9 to 12. So we have to put this on the ballot since there's an increase in expense as well as reduction in revenue associated with this petition. And that's estimated at $350,000, which includes potentially 2 buses, fuel, and also a reduction in state aid, because the more students you transport living closer than 1.5 miles to the school, the less state aid you're able to get. So on average, the anticipated impact to the average homeowner on an annual basis is $37 if this is passed. The second petition was submitted to establish a child safety zone. This safety zone, if created, would cause an approximate $100,000 as an increase to the levy due to anticipation of 1 bus and fuel at $10.50 annually to the average homeowner. So this area is south of Sunrise Highway and north of Washington, and it includes certain areas that students would be having to walk through that would calculate enough points that would qualify this as a child safety zone. So the addresses listed on the screen as well as in the presentation are those addresses that qualify for transportation based upon the establishment of the child safety zone. There's a point system that New York State provides a district that we hired a consultant to perform a study, and this is as a result of the study completed by Eastern Suffolk BOCES. And this would impact students in grades 6 through 8 only. the high school students, as part of the matrix, would have to garner more points in order to qualify for transportation. So it didn't qualify for grades 9 through 12, but it does for grades 6 through 8. So some historical information, including the draft budget being adopted tonight, shows that percentage increase on average for 10 years is at 0.92% for the tax levy. If you look at the information on those two columns, there's also information pertaining to the approved budgets of the past, as well as the amount of fund balance used to support the budget. So May 6th is our next meeting to discuss the budget. It's a required meeting by New York State, and we'll review the budget at even more of a higher level than we did here today. And then finally, May 20th is the vote here from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So at this point, if there are any questions from the board, I'd like to try to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
My pleasure.
Now, unless I missed it today, the state still has not adopted their budget, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so, but we've gotten some indication as to what our state aid would be from them. But that could go up, or it can't go down, is that right?
Well, there are factors that could lead to decreases, enrollment-based calculations, as well as what CPI is used. So while it's a good hedge that it's going to go up, there are factors that could cause a decrease.
Okay, but because that they were supposed to have a budget by April 1st, but because they dragged their feet on this, we don't know what it's going to be. And we can't, if there is any increase, we can't include it in our budget then.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Just the last two items I have for the board is, one is UPK letters have gone out to parents who entered the lottery, and it has also outlined the dates for registration and the deadlines that need to be met. The other piece is I've been working with Dr. Bells on exploring the possibility of creating a graduation requirement, financial literacy as part of a graduation requirement, so that's something that we're looking into. While we don't foresee it being able to start for the 25-26 academic year, we are working towards the 26-27 planning ahead. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Manzo. Public comments on agenda items only. Okay. Certified personnel. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby approves resignations, terminations, leave of absences, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with the applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Non-certified personnel. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby approves the resignations, termination, leave of absences, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachments. Any motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Memorandum of agreement between the East Islip Union Free School District and the United Public Service Employees Union. Be resolved that upon that the Board of Education of the East Islip Union Free School District hereby ratifies and approves a certain memorandum of agreement dated March 31st, 2025 between the school district and the United Public Service Employees Union. And be it further resolved that the President of the Board of Education and Superintendent of Schools are authorized to execute the new collective bargaining agreement incorporating the terms of the memorandum of agreement on behalf of the Board of Education. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone need any items removed from the consent agenda? Consent agenda items 8.2 through 8.11. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby approves consent agenda items 8.2 through 8.11 in accordance with the action presented for each item. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Appropriation changes for the 2024 25 school year, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby approves the attached list of appropriation changes for the 2024-25 school year. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
9.2, rescind donation. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, Board of Education hereby rescinds the donation of a 2000 Mercury Marquis from Lee's Auto Body, originally accepted by the Board of Education on June 8th, 2017. Due to the condition of the vehicle, the district never took possession of it, and the current owner on record would like to dispose of it. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Old business. Salute the RSU here tonight. I know Mr. Manzo spoke about the topic that you've been asking us about. So if you want a public comment, we can discuss it then, but I just want to mention it.
You want to do that now or wait till the end?
You can come up now, it's fine.
Now?
Sure.
Just read in Money-Wise, the caption here is, a single high school class could boost a teenager's lifetime wealth by $100,000 a year, but most kids aren't taking it, meaning financial. Can you imagine a student taking a 4-year course for 4 years, what that per pupil number might be when they graduate? I bring this up. A week and a half ago, I was at Ace Hardware, and the young man's putting topsoil in my van. And I asked him, do you know how a mortgage works? Principal, interest, schedule of direct reduction, and he said no. And I says, did you graduate? He says, yeah, 2 years ago. I said, where'd you graduate? East Islip, so it's one of our alumni. And I said, and he says, I'm going to try and be a sports broadcaster. I said, but did they teach you how a mortgage works and borrowing money for college? And his answer was, heck no. That's one of your alumni answering me. I want brought up in old business next time we meet. I had asked, what do we have to do to start a financial course in this school district to educate our students? Because all they're getting is financial failure. You read about it every day. All right? We've learned that our government doesn't know how to educate kids. We've read about that. Why don't we be different and be leaders instead of followers and get a course going, but every year, so when our kids graduate, they don't get the handshake of financial failure as they walk off the stage. Because that's what they're getting now. And I'd like that brought up in old business about that. What are we doing and where are we? And I'd also like to know the results of the people that you spoke to, what their feedback was on how we educated them, the alumni that I requested. So I'd like some answers next time we meet.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lupero. Dr. Bellis, please.
We have 2 high school teachers, social studies teachers, Mr. Davis and Mrs. Boucher. Oh my gosh, I can't remember Boucher, right? Who are proposing a World War II trip for next April break. Students will be visiting England, France, Belgium, and Germany. They will be visiting such places as the Churchill War Rooms, Normandy, and in Germany, seeing the site of the Berlin Wall and Checkpoint Charlie. So we're excited for them to attend that trip.
Thank you, Dr. Mills. Public comments, Stephanie?
Yes, Megan Grumman. Go to the podium.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Megan Garland, for those who don't know me. I'm a mom of 3 littles who are entering the district, 2 of which for the 25-26 school year. My husband and I moved here in 2018 ahead of having children because we wanted to be a part of the district that we had been told put children and their families' values first. When applying for the Universal Pre-K program, I reached out to the district inquiring how to apply for my twins, and in doing so, I received a response from the administrative professional who supports Dr. Bells and Mr. Manzo with the UPK lottery process, admissions, and placement, stating that each student should submit their own application. I followed that process and noted on the application anyway that I am a twin, so the district would see that when I applied, as there's no formal space for that on the East Islip lottery application. After about 2 months of waiting, we received our lottery numbers, and to my shock, Peyton received number 80, and Riley received number 217. I was unsure how the district could separate them in an educational setting, especially noting that they had been together obviously since birth. This seems like torture for them and honestly for my husband and myself. So again, how could the district do this is all I kept saying to myself. It would be detrimental to their development. I have now for over a month and a half been discussing this process with yourself, Mr. Manzo and Dr. Bells, and some other board trustees who were here about a month ago when I had a conversation with you all. Discussed the disparity in the application process and whether or not they should be duly accepted or duly on the wait list. I have also taken your suggestion and spoken to Mr. Jared Balfo, our state assemblyman, who reached out to New York State Education Department on my behalf to get me some more information of how the districts are encouraged to manage the process, and that there is a notion that there should be a plan in place for families with twins or multiples. In our district, this does not seem to be the case, and I'm here asking for a resolution for the 2025 and 2026 school year, as well as a resolution for the families coming up in the future. So I ask you all, as the Board of Education, who's here to develop our children, can you please provide me with the educational benefit to splitting the twins going into UPK for their first year of school year?
President Dorgan, can I respond?
Sure.
First, let me move this flag. No, I can't see. Yes, we spoke about a month ago.
Yeah, we did.
And just to let everybody else know, I had twins that came through the pre-K about 2000.
So does Mr. Dorgan.
16, and I remember the day of the lottery. And my wife came to the district because I stayed home. I was on the board at the time. So without any appearance of impropriety, I stayed home. And we prayed that we would win one. Knowing we had a good chance of getting one. And back then, there were about 80 spots because only New York State provided funding. So it was about 220,000 that New York State provided. And my wife came home in tears. Because out of 152 applicants for 80 spots, I think we were number 115 and dead last at 152. So, we were not happy about it, but we would have loved to get one. And to hear you say that you won one, you won a lottery ticket, and are complaining you didn't get two, when there are 70 other families out there who didn't get one, I think it sounds a little selfish. And to sit here and say that I should pay, excuse me, don't give me your hand, okay? To sit here and say that I should increase my taxes to now pay for your second child after your first one's free, or to have my 93-year-old neighbor who lives in Social Security to pay for your second child when your first one's free. I'm not going to vote for that, no.
That sounds like a very personal approach toward the board. That's supposed to be helping our district, so that's fine that you can have your personal approach. I'm going to talk about mine now. You've had your chance to stand up for your family, and you chose not to. That was your choice. So I'm going to stand up for mine, as well as every twin family and a multiple family that has been split for the past however many years. Do you think that's appropriate and beneficial to the twins being split entering the district?
We're not splitting the twins. If you choose not to send one or pay for one and not take your free one, that is your decision. The district is not splitting anybody.
What's the goal of this, for you telling me this?
What's the goal? Just to let you know how it is.
So I'm asking you a question. So
Okay.
anybody else on the board want to answer who's not specifically talking to me as a twin parent, who made his own personal decisions?
So if you're asking for personal opinions, I mean, that's what it seems like you're soliciting.
No, I want to know what we're going to do as a district to have a plan in place that's going to be beneficial to twins entering the district instead of detrimental to the district, where one of my kids is going to get an education under UPK for the cost of $5,400, and my daughter, in order to sit in the same classroom with her, I have to pay double that amount to sit in the same classroom that's being taught by the same teacher. So can you explain the cost disparity there for me, for the child?
So again, I'm gonna...
Talking about the same program now, same program.
I paid South Shore for 2 twins.
Okay.
So I paid out of pocket on my own money because I did want both of my children to be together. That's the sacrifice I made and my wife made to do that.
But now in the instance where every neighboring district has a line item where it says twins should be submitting one application for a universal New York State ran program, why is there not a universal application process for all districts?
So Mr. Manzo, if you could just talk about a little bit about the policy around this?
That's pretty much up to the districts and how they're going to process that.
So
here in our district, we do 1 student per application.
And if New York State is telling you, per Jared Gandolfo's conversation, that there should be a plan in place, can somebody show me where that's outlined for us in East Islip?
Can you show me where it's outlined in New York State Education
I'm
Department?
just going off of what I was told by our
All right,
assemblyman.
I have not seen that document.
So can you look into this as my board?
We have. Ever since we started the conversation, we have. There's nothing that indicates that.
So as far as the last conversation that we had, you mentioned that it was a gift that I got that. If it's a gift, why am I then funding the full amount of 2 kids to go to the same classroom?
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
It's $5,400
Okay.
for your budget presentation per child, which New York State funds for all districts. But South Shore Children's was your solution to me as a viable option to keep them in the same classroom, which cost over $10,000, $200 for 1 child. So why am I paying double the budget of New York State education for 1 child? It should be the same cost for all students that are on the wait list then, if you're putting them in the same classroom.
It's a third-party event. We do not provide a pre-K
Is
class.
it part
It's
of
not
our
mandated.
district building? Is it part of our district building?
Yes, and they
Okay,
rent
so
from
how
us.
is it not part of the district?
Because they're not part of the district. The teachers
how
there do
does
not
East
work for the
Islip
district.
fix- so how does East
Excuse me,
Islip-
let me answer you,
Let me
please.
finish. How does East Islip fix that for going forward?
Here's how we fix it, Mr. President. I'd like to propose a policy. Sure. After this parent brought it to our attention, that we adopt a policy that no parent should get 2 free pre-K spots when there are other parents who don't get 1.
So explain to me how a triplet family who had number 219 after my daughter now has all 3 of her kids accepted.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, somebody does, Mr. Bell, Dr. Bell, so you don't know about that? Spoke to her this morning. Her name's Laura Ann. She had two of her 3 accepted, and 1 was now taken off the UPK list and accepted into the process and not on the wait list. So I'd like to know who communicated that to her, because I was told in I'm still speaking. I was told in our last conversation that my daughter Riley would be taken off the wait list as soon as there was traction, and I was also called by South Shore on Tuesday to set up interview with Peyton for her education screening, and I said, are you going to be doing Riley as well? And they panicked and told me that 10 spots were given up already, and I have yet to receive a phone call from either of you.
We have 178 spots.
That's great. Where do you pick
The
the
child on the waiting list is number what again?
217.
200. Okay, so 10 spots will bring us to 217. But just to further
It
that,
doesn't say what number she is on the wait list for the mention of the emails that you sent out today. There is no number for
Okay.
what number my daughter is on the wait list.
those numbers were given earlier.
They were
on.
not given ever because you have not communicated to any of the UPK families until today.
Right, so there are a lot of them. So that
That doesn't say that in the email, so you should clarify.
Okay, so it will be clarified. So in any case, Anne Marie is here from South Shore. Can you help us out in the process?
I know we did call about screenings. We have started with screenings for children who are going to be captured into the initial seating of 178. Once all the registration comes through and the district frees up more seats, they will start pulling from the wait list, right? And they will register from 179 down to the 242. Because I believe that's how many students you have on that wait list.
70 are on the wait list.
Yes. And so it really depends on who declines a seat, who may get a seat in a different program. And I think that may be what the triplet parent is referring to. Okay, not that she was jumped ahead in the lottery.
Well, I'd like to know how she got screened when you wouldn't screen my number 217.
I'm happy to screen her if you want, but it doesn't mean that she's going to get a seat in the program. Okay.
She did though. That's what she has 3 seats in the UPK program.
No, she they're in a different program.
So in,
So that's what she's referring to.
Okay.
And I just want to make one
Sure.
other point in terms of the cost for you to enroll in the second child into that program is not double the amount.
It's
not-
$10,200 is what I was told.
It is not that amount.
So where do I get the right amount? Because that's what I got from
You
South
can give us
Shore.
a call. You can give us a call.
I have the paperwork from the packet I got at South Shore.
Right. And so in that packet, there is a new program listing for the 8:30 to 2. You're referring to a program 8:30 to 4 or 8:30
No,
to
8:30 to
6.
2:30, she told me
Anne Marie,
$10,200.
let me just interject. I think the
It's
point,
just less. It's just less. If you call me, that we can have.
that's what I was going to say. In order for the board
Well, I
to
would like
finish
the whole, I
up,
would like the whole district to know, because even other parents
I
who look at
think,
social media.
ma'am, I
they
think you've made your point known. You've expressed it to all of us. We've conveyed to you what you've asked of us. We gave you the procedures that are happening. We talked about some policy here. We also have the representative here from South Shore give you some information. My suggestion at this point for the board to conduct its business, I would advise you to connect with Anne Marie and have this conversation offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Harrison, we adopted the budget tonight, correct? Did it include 400,000, 300,000 for the 70 families who are on the waiting list to get free pre-K?
No, it does not.
Is there any way to change that now?
Sorry?
We already adopted it.
That's right.
Thank you.
Stefan.
Ashley Antico. Pass. And Mr. LaFiere spoke?
Yes.
So that, we're good.
Thank you, Steph. The next Board of Education meeting for the Eastern Suffolk BOCES budget vote election will be held Wednesday, April 23rd at 8 a.m. and the next regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting and annual budget hearing will take place on Tuesday, May 6, 2025 at 7 p.m. I need a motion to adjourn back to executive session.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn back to executive session.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.